Hi guys, welcome to Amy's Cooking. I hope you guys are having a fantastic day. I can't tell you how excited I am today to be sharing with you my brand new recipe, my brand new video. I know it's been a couple of months, but I've been working very hard, very diligently so that I can tweak each and every aspect of this recipe to deliver you the best. Now, I would never post a recipe unless it's something that we truly love. And trust me when I say this, my entire family adores this one. It's actually called Vietnamese Sesame Balls or Banh Cam. I know most of you are probably familiar with this dessert. It's very popular in Vietnam and most people grow up with it. And, with that said, if you haven't had it, I absolutely recommend giving it a try. It's super delicious, very unique in that it contains a ball of mung bean in the inside, and when you shake up the sesame ball, you can actually hear the mung bean roll around. It's pretty interesting, actually. Also, the dough itself has to puff up when you fry it, and that's what gives this distinctive hollowness in the inside. The outside layer is crispy, but not hard, and very important that it holds its shape and not deflate once the sesame ball cools down. I will tell you though, the aroma is amazing with each bite because of the sesame seeds. With that said, there are a few do's and don'ts, and it doesn't take much to go wrong. So make sure you follow along with the video as I will be pointing out all of the key steps along the way. And before we get into it though, please subscribe to my channel if you haven't already done so. Like the video, like the video, please, and click that notification bell so you'll be alerted when I post future videos. All right, so first things first, we have to get the mung bean paste, and that starts with cooking the deshelled mung beans. Now we'll have to rinse the mung beans a few times. As you see, when I pour the water in, the color changes to this yellow tint, and I don't know if it's powder that they add to it, but it should go away. If you rinse it a few times, 3 or 4 times, you will see that disappear, and actually that's kind of what you want. So just soak it for a few minutes, rinse it. As you can see here, I rinsed this 4 times, and now the water is super clear. The mung beans have color has faded, and it's key that you do that. Once that's done, take the whole entire thing and put it into a pot. We'll add some water to it, and we are going to add a little bit of salt as well to give it a deeper dimension of flavor. And once you mix everything up, we are going to boil this on high heat until it comes to a boil, and then you're going to turn it down to between medium and low and cover up with the lid. Now, it does have a tendency to bubble and spill over, so just make sure you watch it. But you want the mung beans to actually be fully cooked, and you can tell by when you mix it up, you will see that it has now become more powdery and much softer, and it doesn't hold that hard shape anymore. The other way that you can tell if the mung beans is cooked correctly is if you take a piece of the mung bean and press it between your two fingers, you will notice that it should come apart very easily, and it should be able to be mushed and become powdery. Now, we're going to transfer everything into a food processor, and we're going to blend this a few times so that we can turn it into a paste. You'll notice that the color will change. It will go from a richer yellow to a pale yellow, and of course, it's going to be much more thicker. If you need to add a little bit more water to, ease the food processor, that's fine. You can do that, just not too much. So after about a minute or two, this is what my mung bean paste looks like. And as you can see here, it is very well blended. All of the larger pieces are gone, and that's kind of what you want the texture to be. Now take that whole thing and put it into a frying pan, and we're going to add some sugar. We'll also add a little bit of vanilla extract and a little bit of salt, as well as some cooking oil. And so now this part, the mung bean is too hot. So as you can see, when I combine the ingredients, the sugar melts, and it will become pretty watery. This is the reason why we're going to be cooking this on medium heat and continuously stir it so that some of that sugar will caramelize as well as the water will evaporate so that the paste will become thicker. That way, when you put it into the fillet, it's much easier to work with. So very important that you continue to stir. Do not stop because it will burn very easily. And so as you stir it, you will notice that it will become like a clump. And once it becomes a clump like this is when you know that it's ready. So it's going to form and it's going to be very nicely dry and clumpy. And that's what you need. You do want to let the mung bean paste cool down some, and then we're going to take the entire amount and divide it into 15 smaller portions, and we're going to shape them into the mung bean balls. What you want to do when you're shaping them is you do want to fold the outside of the mung bean towards the middle so that way the softer part is exposed and it's just easier to work with. Just roll it in between your two palms and it should form a very nice round ball. Now make sure that you do keep it covered the entire time so that it doesn't dry up, and once you're done with all 15 of them, just set them aside and then we'll move on to making our dough. Now for the dough, you do need a small sweet potato. And because we're only using a small and one, it's just easier if you just add some water to a bowl and then we're going to pop it in the microwave for about 3, maybe 4 minutes. And then take it out. Now you'll know if the sweet potato is cooked or not by pulling it apart, of course, and it should come apart very, very nicely. And again, the sweet potato should be powdery. You do want to take the skin off, and then using just a spoon or something like that, you can just mash it, and that way it will become smaller pieces. Okay, next up we're gonna make the sugar water solution for the dough. So I have water, salt, and sugar in here. I popped it in the microwave for about 45 seconds to a minute. I just want it to be steamy, but definitely not boiling. Dissolve your sugar as best as you can, and then we'll go ahead and set that aside as well. In a bowl, a KitchenAid mixer is what I'm using today, but any kind of mixer, or you can even do this by hand. You want to add in all of your flours, your glutinous rice flour, your regular rice flour, and also the sweet potato. And we'll add a little bit of baking powder as well as and also some cooking oil to give it a nice texture, a shiny coat, shiny texture. So with a powder attachment, we are going to just put it on stir and then add in the water slowly. Now remember, the water is still slightly warm. It's not boiling hot, but you know, if you are kneading this by hand, just be very careful. Okay, you might want to use something else to stir it and get it in there before you go in with your hand. I don't want you to get burnt. But very important here is that you do not want to add in all the water at the same time. You want to add in a little bit at a time until the water, the dough gets to the point where it detaches itself completely away from the side of the mixer, and it just feels nice and wet, but definitely not too wet. Okay, you may or may not be using all of the water in this recipe just because the amount really depends on how your flour moisture content is. You just need to knead it for maybe 5 minutes or so and then just form it into a ball, and we will cover this up with food wraps and then set it aside for about 15 minutes to let it rest. After about 15 minutes, you want to again divide the entire ball of dough into 15 pieces and then again shape it just like you shape the mung bean into smaller round balls. Onto adding the filling. So you want to flatten out the dough the way that I'm doing in the video here, and then just add the mung bean to the middle. Now when you start to cover up the mung bean, you will notice there may be some cracking in the dough itself. With this type of dough, that's pretty normal, but as soon as you get it all covered, and then you start rolling it around, and it will become smoother, and it's just going to be fine. But just keep in mind that you do want to go slowly and just try to cover. You don't want any of the mung beans exposed. You want a very nice firm, even layer of dough to cover the filling. Okay, so I'm gonna show you here, like when I roll it in, between the palms of my hand, you'll see how it no longer shows those cracks, and is super smooth and a very nice surface there. All right, so once all of them have been shaped, all you have to do is now add some sesame seeds, and you do want to try to press the seeds into the mung bean ball. That way it doesn't detach itself when we go to fry it. And so just make sure that you do give it some pressure. So now onto the frying of these sesame balls. Super, super excited, but this part is very, very important, okay? If you have a cooking thermometer, make sure that you get the temperature to 350 Fahrenheit, give or take about 10 degrees difference. If you don't, then you need to test one ball at a time until you see a gentle bubble when you put it in, and then you can add in the rest, okay? Do not go in with the entire 15 sesame balls, okay? If the oil is too hot, it's gonna burn everything. It's gonna be dark brown and the inside is not cooked. But if it's too cold, you will notice that the ball will be sitting there for quite a while, and it soaks up a ton of oil, and you do not want to bite into a sesame ball dessert when it's super oily, okay? The other thing is you do want to continuously, push it around, that way it doesn't sit there. And once I will cooked, and be more brown, then it doesn't brown evenly, is what I'm trying to say. You will also notice that when you first add the sesame ball to the oil, it kind of drops to the bottom of the pan. But once it starts to cook and it creates that hollowness in the inside, then these balls will float to the top. Do use a generous amount of cooking oil. That way, again, everything will brown evenly. But look at this. Doesn't this look absolutely amazing? All the sesames are still on there. Just looks so, so good. So delicious, guys. You guys have to try this. I promise you're gonna love this recipe. And that's it. That's how you make Banh Cam, or Vietnamese sweet sesame ball. So I hope you guys like this video. Again, do not forget to like the video, and we'll see you next time in my next video, okay? All right, thank you. You guys have a great day.